And we say tonight to Donald Trump, bring it on. Bring it on, ladies and gentlemen. And that's been our response. We've told to Donald Trump that India is a large and powerful country and a proud country. You can go and try bully someone else. We are going to stare you back. Gentlemen, this is a pivotal moment in our history. This is not a challenge to us. It is an opportunity to emerge, ladies and gentlemen, as leaders of the truly free world. And why am I saying that he will eventually relent? Because just see what he did in the case of China.
大家好，我是老吴。今天我们来看一段印度甲亢哥阿纳布的好玩视频。我的频道里大部分内容都是一些有深度的对话和演讲，但也会有一少部分好玩的，主要是关于印度的。我碰到特别有意思的视频，就会在频道里和大家分享。就在前几天，我们刚做了一期阿纳布的节目，当时的背景是特朗普要给印度加25%的关税。阿纳布去采访了一位印度的传奇银行家，想问问有什么好办法。结果那位大佬非常冷静地告诉他，实力就是实力，印度的一个筹码就是去和中国搞好经济关系。当时阿纳布一反常态，表现出了罕见的无奈和低调。不过这两天特朗普又宣布，因为印度继续购买俄罗斯的石油，所以给印度的关税要再翻一倍，从25%加到50%。这下整个印度都炸了锅。莫迪政府紧急召开内阁会议，评级机构警告说这会重创印度的制造业，出口商们更是急得跳脚。但我们熟悉的那个打了鸡血的印度甲亢哥终于回来了，他针对特朗普的这次关税升级专门做了一个演讲。我个人觉得他这次演讲最精彩、最好玩的地方就在于他那种一本正经的、慷慨激昂的表演。他先是痛斥了美国的虚伪，因为美国自己也在大量进口俄罗斯的商品。然后他又有理有据的为印度民众分析了印度必胜的5大理由。最后他还像个预言家一样预测了特朗普的下场。可以说整个过程是气势如虹，逻辑严密，情感饱满。好，接下来就让我们一起来欣赏一下印度甲亢哥的这场精彩表演。
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the nation to really come on together because it is now Donald Trump versus India. Donald Trump is foolishly, continuously, and desperately announcing a trade war day after day. He keeps escalating it. And he's just announced about an hour back about total of cumulatively 50% tariffs on India. That's 25% that was already there, and additional 25% because we are buying oil from Russia. So reciprocal and additional 50% MAGA Donald Trump tariffs for India. And we say tonight to Donald Trump, bring it on. Bring it on, ladies and gentlemen. And that's been our response. We've told them that you can't touch us. You can't really impact us. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight I'm going to give you several reasons why we're going to fight back. But before that, keep in mind I have with me in my hand today what I believe is the strongest ever statement that the government of India has issued against the United States of America. And we are so proud, so incredibly proud of the Narendra Modi government for saying through an official statement to the United States of America, to Donald Trump, that India is a large and powerful country and a proud country. You can go and try bully someone else. We are going to stare you back. We are not going to negotiate on these terms. Negotiations do not happen like this. So the exact words are here. We have already made it clear, the Modi government says, our position on these issues, including the fact that our imports are based on market factors and done with the singular objective of ensuring the energy security of 1.4 billion people of India. It is extremely unfortunate. The MEA statement says that the US should choose to impose additional tariffs on India for actions that several other countries are also taking in their own national interest. This is unfair, unjustified, and unreasonable, and India will take all actions necessary to protect its national interests. Statement of the Ministry of External Affairs. But you know what I love about this statement, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is a statement from the Ministry of External Affairs, from the spokesperson in the Ministry of External Affairs. Narendra Modi is not even engaging with Trump. Narendra Modi is not even issuing a soundbite against Trump. Narendra Modi is not even personally responding on social media to Trump. This is absolutely brilliant because the way Narendra Modi is behaving is the way a statesman-like Prime Minister of India does. Donald Trump does not understand statesmanship. Narendra Modi is getting an official in the Ministry of External Affairs to respond to Trump. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Putin is not even engaging with Trump. Dmitry Medvedev is engaging with Trump. In our case, the Ministry of External Affairs is engaging with Trump. Trump can shout and scream as much as he wants. But the government of India's position is absolutely clear. We do not need to dignify Donald Trump's undignified words with similar rhetoric. We respond like this. But ladies and gentlemen, how stumped Trump looked when a reporter asked him, what about America buying uranium hexafluoride, among other things, from Russia? What about the United States of America doing so much trade with Russia and then preaching to us? A stumped Donald Trump said something like this. Watch this.
India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
So he dodges. He says, I do not know anything about it. Next question, please. He wants to quickly pivot himself away from the question. He knows he's stuck. Donald Trump, in his body language there, looks completely beaten because he knows his entire issue is one in which he has no moral position, because America does tons of business with Russia but does not want us to buy Russian oil. Ladies and gentlemen, interestingly, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval in Moscow, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, announcing he will go to China, he will go to Japan. So life goes on, and Trump is extremely irritated right now after his own hypocrisy has been exposed. Here are 5 reasons why India should fight back. And before I go into the 5 reasons, ladies and gentlemen, this is a pivotal moment in our history. This is not a challenge to us, it is an opportunity to emerge, ladies and gentlemen, as leaders of the truly free world. The world that is free of Trumponomics and Trumpopolitics, the world which is fed up of Donald Trump. And trust me, a lot of countries that even have done business with Donald Trump are fed up with him. So reason number 1 tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we must seize the moment to assert ourselves as the undisputed leader of the global South. This is the time to send a clear message to the world. India will not bow to American bullying, and everyone will be standing in applause for us, including Japan, which reluctantly agreed to the 15% tariff from the original 25% imposed by the US. South Korea reluctantly agreed to 15% from the original 25%. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to reluctantly agree to anything. We can agree on our terms, on what we see as fair. So that's a great reason. Second reason why we must not relent is because we can afford to take on America. Here are the numbers. Despite a $44 billion trade deficit on goods, the US actually runs a $40 billion surplus with India if I include services, education, tech, and arms. The US cannot afford to ignore the world's second largest arms importer. Ladies and gentlemen, India bought nearly $15 billion in US arms over 7 years. We account for 8.3% of global imports. But besides that, ladies and gentlemen, besides that, this is a fraction. This is the total impact is going to be 5% of India's total exports. Now, 5% of India's total exports and 0.2% revision in the GDP is something we can risk when we fight the good fight. Ladies and gentlemen, reason number 3, we must, if we don't, then who will? We must counter Trump's unipolarity. Trump says, if you want to trade with me, you will impose 0% tariffs on US goods, and in return, America will impose reciprocal tariffs. These are not fair terms by any stretch of the imagination. Trump has all the right to make America great again. Whether it happens or not, we don't know. But India cannot allow neo-imperialism under the garb of MAGA to allow the luxuries of the developing world on the back of the developed world on the back of the developing nations. If any country can break that cycle, we can. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the only country. We have defied global pressures since independence. We are a proud member of BRICS, G20, SCO, and Quad. We have never believed, we must never believe in global polarity of interests for any one nation. We did not agree to that at the peak of the Cold War. Now we have to ensure independent multipolarity because Trump has stretched himself too far, ladies and gentlemen. And the other big reason why we must not relent, in fact, this is about protecting simply and only our national interest. We have national interests. Trump wants to protect the interests of American farmers, but Narendra Modi has to protect the interests of Indian farmers. The farmers' interest is paramount. Trump wants us to be forced into a situation where we import huge amounts of genetically modified crops. This will have an impact not just on our farmers, but on our country's health. We cannot allow GMO tsunamis in India. We must not allow it. We must not compromise on issues like non-vegetarian milk and beef. These are not just matters of food safety. There is religious sentiment attached to it. It's not about protecting Indian dairy products. It's about what is going to be an acceptable dairy product in a country which has a large number, a huge percentage of a vegetarian population. This is the reason, the precise reason, why the US has kept a large share of Indian goods like pharma exempt. Trump knows at some level, he knows that Narendra Modi is not going to give in. And that is why he's exempted pharma, because if he was not to exempt pharma, if he was not to exempt auto parts, if he was not to exempt electronics, then America would be hit hard. So this is all positioning in a way by Donald Trump. He has exempted categories which he knows if he does not exempt, America is going to suffer. So we must protect national interest, and there's nobody better equipped than Narendra Modi to do that. The next point is that we have been preparing for this. This is not a crisis situation for the country. So never believe anyone who tells you this is a crisis, our GDP is going to collapse, our Indian economy will be ruined, markets will tank. No, it did not happen during the pandemic. During the pandemic, people said, the same circuit said there is going to be an economic collapse in India, but NSO data showed that the Indian economy actually rebounded with a 20.1% growth on April-June 2021. We have anticipated external pressure. That's why we have been focusing on PLI, Make in India, and we are the biggest consumption market. So we have huge boosters for Indian consumption. We must not panic. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, here is my prophecy of how things will go around. See, Trump's bark is much louder and appears to be much dangerous than his bite. He actually cannot do anything. He pretends he will. So viewers, see, he is slated to come to India for the Quad Summit. All we have to do is stare him back, say, Mr. Trump, do what you want. We'll be nice to you. When you come here, we'll serve you great Indian food. You can walk around, you can see the development in India, but we will not compromise in the way that you expect us to. And why am I saying that he will eventually relent? Because just see what he did in the case of China. In March 2025, he raised the tariff on Chinese goods to 20%. On April 2nd, 2025, frustrated with the lack of a response from Xi Jinping, he added a 34% reciprocal tariff, cumulative with the previous rates. Shortly after April 2nd, he further raised the tariff by an additional 50%, resulting in an effective rate of 104% on Chinese imports. China still did not respond to him. It was completely passive to all his provocation. Then he got really desperate, and in April, he put further tariffs on China. China did not care about what he did. He says, I'm going to have 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. And then he himself compromised on what he said on May 12th. He himself reduced the tariffs. He brought it down to 30%. And he says, I give you 90 days to negotiate. Point is, viewers, if you stare this man back, this man is a paper tiger. In fact, not even a paper tiger, maybe a paper fox or a wannabe paper tiger. He cannot stand counter pressures. And therefore, we stand our ground right here. This is the nation that has taken on every aggressor. Our nation has to come together right now. Do we face tough times? Do we face an unpredictable foe in this case? I wouldn't use the word enemy, an unpredictable foe. We do. Can we handle Trump? If there's any country in the world which can, it's India. If it's any nation in the world which can, it's India. The nation must come together. This is the time to decide which way to go. To counter Trump, the entire country has to come together. Nation first, no compromise.